I didn't flinch when she said it. I didn't cry. I just watched her mouth curl into that cruel little smile she's worn my entire life. "You'll never be as good as your sister." The words weren't new. They'd been carved into me since childhood, at birthdays, in school plays, in whispered comparisons when she thought I wasn't listening. My sister, the golden one. Me, the shadow. But this time was different, because now I had the knife. Growing up, I used to think her approval was oxygen. I chased it like a starving dog, grades, trophies, scholarships. And every single time she'd remind me that my sister had done it better, faster, cleaner. I believed her, until I stopped. The day I saw her ask my sister for a loan, something cracked. The almighty woman who lorded power over me suddenly looked small, desperate. My sister bailed her out, of course she did. But the illusion shattered. I realized my mother wasn't a queen, she was a parasite. And parasites survive by feeding on the weak. For years, I was her easiest meal. Not anymore. The betrayal wasn't sudden, it was constant, a drip of poison disguised as love. She praised my sister's beauty while mocking my crooked teeth. She bragged about my sister's promotions while reminding me of every rejection letter I ever got. She never said, "I'm proud of you," not once. But here's what she didn't notice. Every insult, every slight, every cruel comparison, it trained me. Not to crumble, to sharpen. I stopped needing her love the day I realized she couldn't afford her own life. The bills piled up. Credit cards maxed, loans denied. She turned to me with that same sneer, asking for just a little help. She expected the obedient daughter to hand over her savings, no questions asked. I smiled. I said yes. But inside, I was already building the trap. I didn't give her money, I gave her rope. Every bill she forwarded, I documented. Every lie she told my sister about unexpected expenses, I traced. I built a ledger of her manipulations, a neat little archive of her greed. I started small, paying only what she absolutely needed, just enough to keep her afloat. She thought she had me wrapped. In truth, I had her dependency coiled tighter around her throat with every check I wrote. The beauty of it was patience. Parasites get careless when they think the host is secure. And then, tonight came. Family dinner. The same suffocating dining room where she'd humiliated me 100 times. My sister sat across from me, flawless as always, sipping wine and unaware of the storm I'd brought in my pocket. Mother leaned back, her glass raised, her face lit with that familiar disdain. And she said it, the line I'd heard my whole life. "You'll never be as good as your sister." But this time, I didn't swallow it. I didn't shrink. I stood, calm, steady, and I said, "Then ask her to pay your bills." Silence. You could hear the clock ticking on the wall. My sister's glass froze midair. My mother's face went pale, then red, then pale again. I didn't stop. I pulled out the folder I'd brought, her debt statements, her loan requests, every desperate text she'd sent me at midnight. I laid them on the table like evidence in a trial. My sister's eyes widened as she scanned the numbers. The vacations Mother had claimed were gifts from friends. The medical bills she'd sworn were emergencies. Lies unraveled, one by one. My mother tried to speak, but her voice cracked. For the first time, the woman who always had a cutting remark had nothing sharp left to throw. The room wasn't mine as a child, but it was mine tonight. I watched her shrink under the weight of exposure. My sister's admiration, the crown she wore like armor, slipped from her head and rolled across the table. Because here was the truth, in black and white. The golden daughter hadn't been paying for Mother's sins. I had, quietly, relentlessly, for years. And now I was done. I didn't yell, I didn't gloat. I just leaned forward and spoke so softly they had to lean in to hear it. You've compared me to her my entire life. But the difference is, when you fell, I caught you. She didn't. I slid the folder to my sister. From now on, she can decide if she wants to. The silence that followed wasn't awkward. It was surgical. My mother looked at me like she didn't recognize who I'd become. Good. That was the point. The obedient daughter was gone. All that remained was the one thing she never thought I could be, stronger than her. Walking out of that dining room felt like exhaling after years underwater. I didn't need her approval, I didn't need her love, and I certainly didn't need her comparison. I had given her exactly what she gave me all my life, an impossible standard. Let's see how she measures up without me carrying her weight. Justice doesn't always come with handcuffs. Sometimes it comes with silence, with a single sentence, with a room gone still, and a woman finally stripped of her crown.